change control process is a key input for the direct and managed project work process.
Approve change requests?
Agreed.
Okay. Which project document should John use to record problems, gaps, inconsistencies, or conflicts that occur during the direct and managed project work process?
Issue log.
Agreed.
Okay. And which process will be used to evaluate and approve the project deliverables produced by direct and managed project work?
Control quality?
Okay. So we haven't gotten to any of these processes yet. Again, you would backdoor because you know EEFs, right, is not an output. Change request could be an output, right? And so could requirements. You need to have to know what's an input to direct and manage the team. This issue log here, so there is an issue log and there is a change log for PMI. And I just want you to know that there's sort of a blend of the two. If they describe the fact that there's an issue with one of the project objectives or like with one of the project deliverables, excuse me, there's an issue with the project deliverable and it needs to be fixed. And they say, which of the following documents would outline, what that problem is? That's going to be the change log. But if it's, there's just problems, there's gaps, there's inconsistencies, there's conflicts that occur while we're creating the deliverables, then that goes into the issue log. So I just want to, mention that those are two different things for PMI. If they ever talk about the deliverable, we're going to say the change log, and then it gets approved or denied. And if it's approved, then that approved change request becomes an input, right? That's an output from that process and becomes an input to this. But if we're just talking about the work and the people, then that's an issue. So this is between people.
Hey, CJ, the case study mentioned KPIs quite a bit, and it just, as I was reading it, it jogged my memory that I don't remember exactly at what process the KPIs are developed for the project. I assume it's under quality planning or planning quality.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So, okay. If we're talking like specific for the exam, PMI language, we develop metrics during plan quality. However, KPIs, PMI makes no mention of when we capture those. And in fact, they being PMI will refer to KPIs when we see project closure and when we create a the final project report. That's where you see the word KPIs come up. But
okay.
Sometimes you'll see it. You don't even really see it in a charter, which which where it should be, because then at the end of project, that's where we should start and it should kind of come from. But PMI doesn't really get into that because again, they're all about the what. They don't get into the how or the why, and so they just say that, hey, there should be some KPIs. So I know the case study mentioned it, but on the exam that won't be a focal point at all.
Okay.
So good catch, but and I can see it makes sense, but it's not brought up by PMI. They're going to use the word metrics when they're talking about what we're tracking on the project. Okay. All right, let's look at managed project knowledge now. All right, so new process, John. This wasn't in version 5. And this is the idea from PMI that as the project is happening, all the stuff that's going to eventually become an OPA, these lessons learned, stuff that's happening on the project, people who are getting trained and they're learning new skills, using new contract types, having new vendors make it to the preferred vendor list. All of this knowledge needs to be circulated definitely throughout the team, but also for the organization, right? So we use the existing knowledge and we create new knowledge. It's really what it is, right? So almost all creative stuff in our world is that. It's the repurposement or the reuse of something that already exists. And so that's what we do here. And then PMI will refer to the explicit and the tacit side. So the explicit being easily, like I can explain it to you, I can show it to you. Whereas the tacit, I have to have the experience to really, get you to understand what's going on. All right. So this is like the idea of being a project manager. right? If you had never managed projects, you could be the best teacher in the world, and then you would lack the tacit knowledge to be able to, explain certain things and know how. So you'll get little examples on the exam that describe that, and you'll need to pick out, which one they're talking about there. And part of it is upon you as a PM to create that environment and make sure that, access to information is easy for everybody, or, at least be someone within an organization that fights for that, to have the tools to create that team environment. So that's what this process is about. We take the plan, we take all documents, the deliverables themselves, everything that we can think of, including EFs and OPAs. And then we'll look at these tools and techniques in terms of knowledge management and information management, also our interpersonal skills. And then the outputs are lessons learned. So we see PMI moving away from doing lessons learned at the end of the project and more to doing lessons learned, intermittently, just like we do in the Scrum process if we're creating a software package and we do it at the end of each sprint. So we're seeing that now sort of being a key for PMI, because why wait at the end of a 2-year-long project when you can't remember, at least the studies say, what happened more than 6 weeks ago? And I always say, 6 days, and I can't remember. So the output here is your lessons learned. And they might have many different words for this: sunset review, post-mortem, all kinds of terms, but lessons learned. Just note that the exam will use different words for that, retrospectives, etc. To get that, again, we'll take the documents, EEFs, OPAs. We'll use all this as as inputs, and then our tools and techniques are information management tools. So this is the idea of, again, I mentioned that information management system having a Microsoft stack. If you email and repository and CMDB and business applications, we'll use those to find documents and utilize them as ways to share and provide access of information to folks. And then you use your own interpersonal skills as a PM. Maybe you present it, maybe use your active listening. This is the idea that many times we will answer someone's question before they're finished asking the question. Or sometimes we'll say no. Somebody's asking a change request and we already know the answer is no. We'll say no before they're finished asking what they want to ask. Right? And so it's things like that, where as a PM, active listening is the idea that we'll wait, let them say what they have to say, respond back. What I hear you saying is, or if I understood you correctly. Just by doing that, you'll sort of minimize any resistance. We talked about facilitation, being able to work the room. This is the hallmark of being a PM, right? Because you're working in usually matrix environments and working with cross-functional teams. So you got to be able to facilitate meetings and design sessions, etc. Use your leadership skills and understand how to network within the organization and externally. And then being political. So these are all the types of ways that you'll see exam questions want to test your knowledge of the fact that this is what we need to do. We need to use interpersonal skills and information management tools in order to manage project knowledge.